Welcome to All Nature Connected, a podcast created by the Forest Bathing Institute where we explore all nature connected topics, including nature and health, nature inspired lifestyle, nature connection and forest bathing, nature preservation, and eco awareness. We hope that this podcast will inspire you to become more connected with nature and your own health and well being. Hello, everyone. This is Olga from the Forest Bathing Institute. And today we have a special guest on our podcast, Tanya Hadzhieva. So I'll read a little bit about Tanya. Tanya Hadzhieva, also known as Leo Crystal Queen, is an award-winning author, a healer, and a spiritual leadership public speaker. Her mission is to help women in business who are going under a lot of stress, and Tanya teaches how to achieve balance in the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical body. She has 5 years in sales and business development experience undergoing a multiple burnouts, which is why she is dedicated to help women to be stress-free. Her advice has been featured in magazines such as High Profile, Energy Magazine, Health Triangle, and rt.radio.fm, and many more. She is the creator of Queen's Joy magazine and the Wake Up Call show, available on archer.fm under Leo Crystal Queen podcast, which keeps on inspiring people globally. So today I thought it would be really great to talk with you, Tanya, about eco-crisis, eco-awareness, and also possible stress that people can have due to being more aware about eco-crisis. Because our story is that Tanya and I met at the Global Women Club meeting, and we actually are now cooperating, doing some project together on eco-awareness, raising people's eco-awareness. And I know that Tanya also works on many different projects related to this topic. So to start with, I just wanted to ask you, Tanya, why are you interested in eco-movement and climate crisis?
Well, first of all, we've been seeing the climate crisis for many years, and it is to a point where the pot is boiling and everything is escalating. So I think my interest is there because of my humanitarian part. Like I very much want to help humanity with the awakening process that we're all going through right now, since the energies are also raising, and we are in multiple collapses at the moment, not only climate, but finance, society, everything is changing. People thought, when we come out of COVID, things are going to go back to normal. And they realize sooner or later after that there is no normal anymore. So people are kind of trying to cope with with the change. Even yesterday on the party that I was going through to meet new people to the networking event, we were discussing the food, because the food is connected to the climate and the environment, and we were discussing just like how industrialization has been good for business, but for profit, but bad for the people. Because at the moment, for example, we eat fish. You go to the ocean, you get the fish, but the ocean itself is not clean. We're not like addressing the root cause. So instead of like actually cleaning the oceans and putting our efforts into like educating the young people, okay, how do we clean the ocean? What can the young people create? Like there's so many startups, so many things that are being invested into, from solar panels to you name it, in order for us to be more efficient. There are some startups that are cleaning the oceans and inventing like devices that can float in and gather all the rubbish that we have been polluting, which is great. But I think that the awareness that it's missing in the educational system is how do we prevent it again from getting to that point where the whole ocean is full of litter. Because it is one thing to clean your house and sweep every few days. The other thing is, to constantly be clean, because you have the awareness of, okay, this is what I need to do in order to protect the environment and the ecosystem. So I think it's very much important to raise awareness, especially with the young adults who are feeling trapped by the internet, and they're constantly staring at a phone or computer, and they're not really out there looking at the um big movements, like the big changes that we're experiencing. Yes, everyone will eventually experiencing the climate change, because we are seeing the difference in the weather. I mean, where I come from, Bulgaria, we've already been seeing this. It's April, May, and the weather is very cold. Usually, May is not that cold. We're switching. Where it has been cold, now it's warm, and where it's been warm, now it's getting cold. So people need to realize that we are to a point where we either make it right or everything just goes down the drain. So the urgency, as you mentioned, that we discussed with you, the urgency is there, and hence my passion about it. But I feel there's so much more work to be done, until we get to a point where we can say, you know what, we created 2% change, let's keep going. Where I feel we're not even there yet. So a lot to be done.
Yes, thank you, Tanya. There is definitely a lot to be done, but as you said, even 2%, we have to start with something. And I think being more aware, as I always say, education is the first step. So as you do mention a lot of things that you might have thought about or you are more aware about now. As you said, like, for example, ocean, there are lots of problems there coming up to the food chain as well. And then there is a domino effect. So for you, I know you're a very sensitive person, you're a healer, you're helping other people. So once you became aware of the problems, and maybe you become more aware every day as you learn more, what are some of the personal challenges you have come across, and what were your coping strategies? Because as for the topic of today's conversation, I wanted to share your advice on how maybe some of these things that can seem very challenging, how they can impact us as humans, and what could be the coping strategies for us to deal with this anxiety.
Yes, well, there is a lot of anxiety being experienced and depression right now. I feel like every first person now, it's coping with some of these symptoms, and myself included. I mean, I have understood the feeling because of what I was going through last year, and everything again comes to the educational part, because we are taught, you should be completely vegan or vegetarian or whatnot, and then some people are not meant to be a specific thing, and we're trying to fit in some societal boxes that we don't meant to be in. Then our health is suffering. Then the moment your health is suffering, you're immediately prone to getting a depression, because then you say, well, how do I carry into the world with all these changes in climate and everything that we see if your health is not 100%? So I feel the coping mechanism that I have had is to breathe fresh air, go for walks. I really enjoy going to the parks because I live in London. I don't have the luxurious environment that you have, but we still have good parks. I go for a walk. I do some earthing. I lay on the ground. I meditate. I also do exercise, because exercise really helps you to ground, to be in your body, to feel present, and for us to be coping with so many changes, because the changes are going so rapidly. Like tomorrow you wake up and there's like a financial collapse. The next morning you wake up, this is happening, or there was a hurricane somewhere, or a volcano erupted. It's like every day the changes go so frequent that you need to like keep your mind very like stable, and hence exercise really helps you to be in the now, in the moment. So that has really helped me to cope with every change that's going through, and again being very mindful about the food that we eat. I know it is hard. I am personally experiencing that. You want to buy something, and then I feel people need to start being more aware. For example, how this food has been produced, has been taken from where is it coming? Is it coming from places where they use a lot of pesticide? Is it coming from like a farm, and how is are these animals being fed, etc., etc.? Because we go again to the environmental crisis that we discuss even with the meat industry, with the farms, and this all echoes into the whole ecosystem which is being changed right now. So again, if we're a bit mindful, I think the biggest solution for that is for us to go backwards instead of using the industrialization era that we are in, to go back to like being supplied by local farms, having like local farms. If each county had its own local farms and all suppliers, I think we will be the one to feel the change, first in quality, second in price, and third it will be like kind of like a social thing. You go and support your neighbor. And now what we see is just like these industrial big companies ruling the world, and they're not interested of anything else but profit. So they're not really interested in our health. And if you do research, and you want to buy, for example, good meat for your family, which is like grass fed and is very good, brings you a lot of nutrition, like like literally one like two pieces of steak would probably cost you 25-30 pounds, which if you want to go to like Lidl or Asda or whatever you want to get your food from, you'll probably cost you 3 to 5 pounds. And then the person says, what a difference. So is that meat really costing that much? Because we see industrialization has really taken on over like the small farms that are really good, they're organic, they're taking care of their animals, or it can be anything, it can be cheese, and they're like small farms. And I think if we go back to a point where we're all supported by community instead of the whole industrialization process, we're gonna feel the change even in the climate. We'll feel the change in the pollution. We'll feel the change in everything, because then instead of using trucks to get food all the way from Morocco or any country to the UK or whatever, and using so much petrol, which we know it's polluting there, we need to be mindful of how do we bring this chain of what we need into more localized instead of industrialized.
That's really great. And I'm so grateful that you're actually talking about the community as well, Tanya, because I had Jaume on the podcast a few days ago as well. He's also a member of Global Woman, and he's opened a community center in Greenwich in London, and teaching people about educating them on economics and the new economics of the world, where we need to be more localized. So the more I speak to my guests on the interviews, the more I learn about the importance of the community. And I think you so greatly mentioned that we cannot continue in the same way that we are now, with all the huge industries, and then there is no importance of the local businesses. And they actually, we are working with farmers, for example. They do need lots of support, because for them, they're not even making any profit now, and that should really change. And that should come from different levels, but including us, the consumers, and what choice we make, and what also policies we tell our local governments to invest into. That's also very important. So there are different ways, but as you said, it's not very easy sometimes. When you start looking into things, start researching, the more problems you find. So I know that you mentioned that you went through a few burnouts in your life. So can you tell us a bit more about what was your strategy for coming out of a burnout? Because I know quite a few people might feel overwhelmed when they start researching these topics and come to a point when maybe they can't do everything all at once, and they need a strategy to prevent burnout but also come out of it. So maybe you can share with us either the prevention or coming out of the burnout strategy.
That's a great question. Thank you, Olga. I mean, I had multiple burnouts due to overworking, and I'm pretty sure other people are experiencing the same. But the way I was feeling the burnout was just being 3 months in bed. My nerve system was really, um, you know, um, suffering, so I had to like recover completely. And some people feel burnout, they have huge headache and they feel their head's gonna explode. So for everyone will be probably individual of how they know their body is telling them, okay, if you don't slow down, then the computer's motherboard is gonna fry out, and then you're gonna be of no use to anyone. So for the moment you see the first signs of burnout, I would strongly suggest make like a timetable or something that you can see every day. That, people say, yeah, do affirmation, do this. Yes, affirmation is great. You need to keep the mind very healthy, but to actually prevent the burnout, you need to do the physical things, like the physical exercises, drinking a lot of water. Like, find out what kind of exercise do you like. Is it Pilates? Is it yoga? Is it going to the gym? This needs to be like a priority. So if you have to create like a priority list, drinking more than two liters of water, because we are, the more high vibrations are coming to earth with the solar flares, the more water we actually need. And people don't even realize, if for example 10 years ago you needed 1 liter, now the kidneys actually need 2 to 3 liters to actually, like, because we're fed with so much toxins as well of the food that we eat. So the kidneys actually are straining themselves, so they need way more water. So the burnout can come in different forms. I would say exercise, drink plenty of water, get some sun, go to the forest, relax, make sure you have time to be away from computers, away from the electromagnetic field, so you can actually recharge the body, because that actually affects a lot. I'm quite sensitive, so I do feel that quite strongly. Also, the most important, I would say, is diet. Diet is very important to support the burnout. When we're in a hurry, we're running up to a deadline, we have so much stress. The stress makes you to not eat. And this is where you need to say, okay, no, I should do the opposite. Because when you're under stress, you're running up to only 2 coffees a day, or you've had a Red Bull and you think this is going to give you energy. Yes, but slowly and surely what happens is either your nervous system will be affected, because if you're not eating enough protein, then the body starts eating its own protein from its own organs, which I've personally felt. So it's not a good picture to be in, because once you don't pay attention to a burnout, depends on where it hits you, it can impact the cognitive function as well. You may start feeling more foggy, and you're not going to be sharp of doing the project or whatever you are focusing on anyway. So you need to always take the time to recharge, no matter what. That's, for me, prevention is better than dealing with pills and needing to like take an aftercare. Plan your meals, for example, always to have like good nutrition. I would say good fats, like healthy fats as well. And by that I don't mean only avocados, because you need the whole system. If you're going to be working on a project and you're researching, when you're sitting in front of the computer, you're doing a lot of mind work as well. Because people think, oh yeah, she sits on the computer all day, what work is she actually doing? Because a lot of people only consider physical work as work. You go to the field, you're a farmer, and you're working yourself off the whole day, and then you sleep like a baby because your body is physically tired, and then you sleep. But people who actually burn out are the people that do the mental work, and they don't take into accountability the work they've done. Because the body may not feel tired physically, but your mind, it's exhausted. And the fact that we don't understand, like, there's a mind load and physical load. And when you're like doing so many projects, for example, from a healing point of view, the moment you even read a book too much, or you focus on the computer from 9 to 5 every single day, you're already out of coherence. So in order to bring this vitality and this coherence to yourself, you really need to be mindful what you eat, good fats, eat good quality. I would say juicing as well, good quality foods, even superfoods, to support the brain function. It's very important. Like, also glutathione is also very good to like prevent burnouts, because it supports the brain, but it also detoxifies the brain from all the toxins that we already put through the food or through the environment, because you go outside and you bring the exhaust from so many cars, from the environment, from the climate that we haven't changed yet, and then all these toxins do affect the brain as well. So these toxins need to be pulled out, because that also affects the burnout. So there is a wide spectrum of things that need to be overlooked. So the first thing to do is to draw a list of things that you feel that are contributing to that burnout. And then how do we manage these stress factors in a way that build your body strongly? Like, do you need more exercise? Do you need more mental work and meditation, and you're good with exercise? So again, it is from person to person, but from my experience, I was keen on doing everything, like the mind, the spirit, the spiritual work, and the body and the food to recover.
That's a really good, well-rounded, balanced view, and I'm actually so grateful that you mentioned, Tanya, about that how people don't realize when you sit in front of the computer, you're actually using up lots of your energy on lots of mental activity. And sometimes people think, well, I shouldn't be tired, but you can get more exhausted, and it's a different kind of exhaustion from mental work, especially if you're sitting at a computer using electric equipment, etc. So I think it's very good to be aware of these things. That's the first thing. And as you said, I really like your holistic approach, looking at different things, and they might be different from one person to another. You might be more physical, you might actually need more physical activity, or you might need more slowing down, meditation, relaxation, things like this. Maybe you need to look at your diet. It all matters. And wherever you see you are lacking, you might want to maybe spend a bit more time planning. And I always say I totally agree with what you said. Planning ahead, meals, things like this, very boring, I would say, but very useful actually things. And just prevention is much, if you spend more time now preventing, making sure that you have some strategies to make sure that you have some balance in your life, you have time to rest, rather than leave it to a point where you actually are made to stop. It's much, I think, much healthier approach. So thank you, Tanya, so much for your interview today. I just wanted to ask you lastly, before you leave, tell us a little bit more about your current and past big projects. I know that you are an award-winning author. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about your book or the podcast, or also I know you have upcoming project having your book made into a film. So if you'd like to just share a little bit more about your projects and also where we can find more information about you, please.
Thank you so much, Olga. Yes, I would love to share that. So the book is called Ruby Rose and the Crystal Palace. It is a romantic fantasy which I wrote during the COVID times, which actually helped me with staying sane and not getting into depression. So I do understand that writing and painting and anything creative can be a very much of healing. So if that can also be part of people to experience healing if they want to be creative. So the reason why I wrote the book also is to inspire young adults to believe more into their inner power and to believe more into themselves, because we are always told what society wants us to be, our friends want us to be, our parents want us to be. I mean, my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, but I mean, I didn't made their wish fulfilled because I was following my own dreams. So I think it's very important for a young person to realize, okay, I have my own power, and do I really want to give this power away? And if all these kids get empowered to follow their dreams from young age. And also, I mean, the book is romantic as well. It talks about the dilemma of different religion clashes and how we need to change society, because I want to live in a world where everyone's united. I don't care if you come from Mars, Venus, you come from Africa or Switzerland, we're all one at the end of the day. So this is what the book portrays, and I'm currently working, as you said, to turn it into a movie. I really want to share my work with the world in a bigger picture so people can be touched more. And also, funnily enough, in the book there is a crisis. I do talk about the pandemic as well, and how, you know, we can empower ourselves to create healing. But also there is actually a part in the book that talks about crystals. And funnily enough, the earth's core that we live on, it is made of crystal. You know, we see so many people going to mine crystals in the crust of earth, but we don't realize that this energy that we sit on, we live on our climate and our environment is made of crystal. You know, it's not only your computer and phone made out of crystal, but the pathway, the meadow that you walk in like every day underneath, it's all crystallized. And in the book, that's why I mentioned Ruby Rose and the Crystal Palace, is because the main character understands more about crystals, understands the way they work. And I feel the new generations are a bit oblivious of what actually is going on even under, you know, the climate. So they see the climate, they experience the ocean, they see this and that, but the crust, the mountains, under the mountains that we breathe in, and that's why we, when we say, we, you know, you go to a forest and you charge yourself so much, is because by stepping on the earth you're literally charging from a crystal. You know, the earth's core is an actual crystal. So you know, you have the soil as well, but you have the crystal as well. So when you go to a forest, you recharge fully and you feel so light, because first of all, you have the clean air which goes into your brain, which refreshes everything, because here we breathe pollution. Second, you're stepping on a crystal, you're feeling the soil, which helps you to get to the earthing, and to neutralize all the frequencies and you know, frequencies that you don't have to have, like the electromagnetic field. Then the oxidative stress gets reduced and you just feel rejuvenated. And then people are like, oh my god, I went to the forest for a hike and I feel like new. I'm like, yeah. Do you know why though? There's like so many factors playing into that, and I think young people don't even know what they're dealing with nowadays. So there is a little bit of that in the book, a little bit, but then the movie, of course, this is why I'm wanting to create a little bit bigger vision. And the podcast, I strongly suggest, if anyone is interested in healing or alternative medicine or anything to do with how to manage your body, mind, and spirit. The podcast is called Wake Up Call Show. It is available on Apple, Spotify, on 9 platforms. And if you would like to learn more, I'll be very, very pleased to visit me on leocrystalqueen.com. And if you want to find me on all social media, it's just Leo Crystal Queen. On TikTok, I focus more on educating the young people about crystals, like what do crystals do, how can we use them. So it's very educational side. Then the Instagram and Facebook is more about community and sharing what the podcast is about. So would happy to answer any questions you may have. And thank you again, Olga, for having me on the podcast.
Thank you, Tanya. It's really interesting to hear all your perspectives on things, and I think there is a lot that people can find out from your book and also from your podcast, amazing podcast, which I was on actually just a week ago or so. So thank you so much, Tanya, and to our listeners, we hope to connect with you the next episode. Bye.